I watched Donald Trump do his 100th day rally in Michigan, and I took notes. It was 90 minutes long. As we know, he likes running for president better than he likes being president, so that's pretty much the mode that he's in. Don't worry though, because he's fixing inflation and woke lunacy. He says that any Republicans who grandstand against him should be voted out of office. He's like, don't worry, after years of unelected bureaucrats taking your money, I'm here to stop that. With Elon Musk, an unelected bureaucrat trying to undo the things that your elected officials decided to do with the money you elected them to allocate. He talks about how Joe Biden didn't do well at the first debate and compares himself to a UFC fighter, calling out Dana White, UFC head, who is presumably in the crowd because they're besties. He says that only 3 people have successfully gotten into the country since he's become president. He talks a lot throughout the whole thing about immigration and deportation because xenophobia is the glue, holding his base together. And I think also personally, because it's a little bit dicey to get into the economy, the other glue traditionally holding his base together, misguided as their beliefs may be. And then we get to what I think is the darkest, most dystopic moment in a wild event full of dark dystopic moments. On giant screens in the venue are projections of videos of mass deportation that seem to have been edited together by a 15-year-old on Reddit with sort of escalating music playing behind footage of men being marched in stress positions and having their heads shaved in buses and helicopters. That finishes, the crowd is cheering USA, USA. Then he's like, the radical Democrats don't want me to deport people without due process. That's crazy. And he brings up another campaign classic saying that the left cheats in elections, which comes up several times throughout the course of the 90 minutes that he's talking, just laying the groundwork for 2026, I suppose. Then he talks about the polls, which, if you've seen the polls, people do not approve. They checked on their 401ks and they're not happy about it. He probably believes this. He's like, all of the polls are fake. They only interview Democrats. And I know more people like me. I'm sure of it. At least 60 to 70. I think 70% of people like me. Then he's like, it bounces back and forth a lot. So next, he's like, the judges, they're trying to take the power of the president to defend your country, because I guess he missed that day in middle school where they explained checks and balances. Then he says that since he took office, the cost of eggs is down by 87%. If that is true for you, please comment and tell me where you buy eggs, because that has not been my experience. Then he's like, I'm not going to say this. I'm not supposed to say this, but the people over at the Fed are not so smart. I'm not saying anything about it because I'm not supposed to say anything about the Fed. I would never say anything about the Fed, but I don't like the people over there. Again, he calls the polls in the news fake. And you know how you know that the polls are both real? Because of course they're real and obviously not good, is because Fox News, they're not really talking about polls today. The crowd chants for him to have a third term, people behind him are holding up 3 fingers. And he's like, well, in a sense, I've already won 3 times. Then he polls the audience. He does this whole bit about how this is a legit poll on whether or not Joe Biden should be called Sleepy Joe or, Crooked Joe. The audience picks Crooked Joe, but Donald Trump is like, I like Sleepy Joe. Again, the point of this event is that he's been president for 100 days. So 100 days ago, Joe Biden stopped being president. Surely at that point, it's no longer necessary to campaign against him. Then clean, beautiful coal. I hate windmills, drill, baby, drill, green new scam, that stuff. He talks about his 145% tariff on China and says that he is a president for the working class. He believes in Main Street more than Wall Street, although he does have a great property on Wall Street. And like, if anybody was looking to rent space, he could hook you up. He shouts out the My Pillow guy a bunch. That's like a big name drop throughout. And also Dr. Oz, the My Pillow guy and Dr. Oz. He calls them out each like 3 to 5 times. He's calling out his various supporters, cabinet members. Like, he's the lead singer near the end of the concert being like, and on the drums, we got Pete Hegseth. I feel like he'd be on the drums. Maybe he'd be on like the bass guitar. Calls up Margot Martin, one of his like communications people, I guess. I had to Google her after. Honestly, didn't know who she was. Anyway, she came on stage. She's like so thrilled to be there. She's blessing. She goes, Trump 2028, anyone? And then the whole crowd cheers. In case you weren't worried about the Constitution, you should be now. He calls up Scott Jennings, who's like a conservative pundit who goes on CNN a bunch. And Scott Jennings says he thinks that he needs to buy a farm because when you own as many libs as I do, you need someplace to put them. I don't know if you should be talking about owning people, Scott. That is kind of a bad. Owning people and putting them on a farm is a bad look. Now it's time to like praise Elon Musk, but also make it a point that like he's the boss of Elon Musk. And Donald Trump is like, I am the boss of Elon Musk. I got rid of the electric car mandate, and that hurts him. Although I don't know if it does punish Elon, because it makes it less imperative for his competitors to develop the products that compete with his products. And then he says that Doge saved however much money they're saying that Doge saved. Then he talks about how cool he is for leaving the Paris Climate Accords and also the World Health Organization. Who cares? He talks about how he was more investigated than the late, great Alphonse, which he says twice, Alphonse Capone. He does get in a dig about Hunter Biden's laptop, because why not? He said that he restored free speech in America. He says, I ended DEI bullshit. That's what he says. Those words. At his rally on television, that's what he says. In kind of a throwback, he says that he banned critical race theory. He talks about how military recruitment is apparently up, says everybody wants to join the military, which I don't know if that's true, but if it is, it's a recession indicator. Then he's like, I'm gonna get rid of the Department of Education. And honestly, how bad could that be? We're already not doing well. Let's see if we can do worse. He gets everyone to cheer for the Gulf of America. Oh yeah, and then he's like, ranked choice voting, that's bad. I don't like that. No ranked choice voting. He says that you'll all see in a year, inflation, that's going to be ended. It's already ended. And wages, those are going to be up. Cost of living, that's going to be down. Just you wait and see, which I say we believe him, right? Because it's not like he said a year ago from today that today, if he was president, which he is, we would have higher wages and lower prices and no inflation. He says we're going to spend more money on Medicaid. Actually, we're cutting fraud. Like, you know, when people say they need health care, and that they're never going to cut Social Security or Medicare either. In addition, don't think of where we're going to get the money to give all those tax cuts to billionaires. That'll just from somewhere. Okay, that'll come from somewhere. In another totally not dystopic moment, he's like, we're going to teach our children to love our country and always respect our flag. Totally normal. That is what children should be learning. And then we're at, you know, our golden age has just begun. Never surrender. Make America proud, strong, powerful, great again.